Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic. So, as you can see, I am a genuine hero of the Alliance. 55 and 5 in Alterac Valley during the summer of whatever it was. We'll give it a few minutes, give it a minute here for people to show up. As you're aware, there's been some excitement at Gab and so forth. I was actually just on the phone talking with Andrew Torba, and we were discussing some of the stuff that was going on. And, you know, one of the things that I told him, and something that I posted, is that there's absolutely no reason to put up with somebody like Andrew Anglin on your site in the first place. You know, there's a fake Andrew Anglin, to the extent that that's not redundant, who is regularly has his comments banned at my site. Why? Because it's all just the usual, you know, alt-right retarded bullshit. You know, they don't say anything new. They say the same stuff over and over and over again. They don't add to the discourse. And so I see absolutely no reason to tolerate any of that stuff. Now, I will get to that. Hang on. You know, if you think the Daily Stormer is funny, that's fine. You know, there's plenty of people that think people making retarded faces are funny, and so you know, it's just different senses of humor appreciate different things. You know, I personally find I've never read the Daily Stormer. I've had a look 2 or 3 times. I think the only thing I really remember there was when they declared war on Milo. Milo, whose audiobook we helped publish and is currently, you know, one of the top books on Audible and so forth. And yeah, there's no question that the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center absolutely love the Daily Stormer. They make millions of dollars because of the existence of things like that. So, but let's get to the issue now. Let's get to the issue. Are they useful for pushing the Overton window? They can be, but you have to understand, a tactic is not a strategy, and a tactic has its uses at certain times, and it doesn't at other times. And so, you know, that's the thing that they never seem to understand. I mean, you understand there's a reason why when there's a revolution, one of the first things that the people who take power eventually do is they go and shoot all the revolutionaries. What was the first thing that Hitler did when he took power? You know, one of the first things that he did was get rid of the Sturmabteilung and Ernst Romer. Why? Because after a certain point, they become they not only become useless, they actually become counterproductive. Okay? Once you have moved the Overton window to a certain point, it may not make sense to try to push it further. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but the point is simply saying, oh, but they pushed the window, so what? Whether it's true or not is is not the issue, is not the question. The issue is whether it is relevant and useful now. Now, just so we're clear, I absolutely opposed the way that the domain register treated Anglin and the Daily Stormer. That was wrong. He has the same right to infrastructure as anyone else. You know, I have no problem coming out in support of that. But here's the interesting thing, and this is one of the reasons why I have contempt for Andrew Anglin, is because he's one of those guys who loves to whine and complain and, I wasn't supported by Mike Cernovich and whoever else he was whining and bitching about. You know who's the only people he doesn't mention? The people he doesn't mention are the people that actually supported him. Do you think that I ever heard anything from him or any of his supporters about, hey, thanks, we're glad that you guys came out and support us? No, of course not. Because all they do is cry. All they do is be negative. Now, of course, I didn't say what I said because I give a quantum of a flying rat's ass about what he does. First of all, I'm not supporting free speech, and I'm not asking for a cookie. I do things because I believe they're the right thing to do. I criticized the registrar, and I criticized Google for stealing their domain. Those things were wrong. But someone like someone like Gab, someone like Andrew had a perfect. I told Andrew that he should be kicking people like that off the site aggressively. I don't think because people like that are destroyers. They are intrinsically negative. They exist only to push the boundaries. Now, what happens to people who only push the boundaries? It always ends badly. That's all they did. And so the thing is that exactly people like Anglin erode the value of the platform. Almost all of the crap that Gab takes from the media is the result of people like that. So why put up with them? And here's the thing. Let me address all of you absolute morons who keep trying to say, oh, you're a hypocrite because you're not supporting free speech and blah, blah, blah. First of all, fuck you. Secondly, I have always been against free speech. I have always been in support of private censorship. Look at the rules of my blog, which go back to 2003. And they say, I will ban you for any reason whatsoever. No, we're not saying let's all nice and say nothing that might trigger the lefties. Stop being jackasses. No, here's the thing, when Anglin goes, in many cases, nothing at all is going to happen. Because there is a difference between shutting down somebody who's being a jackass and somebody who is attacking your narrative. They're two totally different things. You're confusing the two. When somebody is not acting in good faith, when somebody is actually always negative, then you shut them down. You don't let them be there to poison the well. And so, and here's the thing: all this stuff about free speech is nonsense. Let me further expand your mind. Free speech does not exist. Equality does not exist. These things are ideals. Okay? There is a difference between an ideal and a policy. There is a difference between an ideal and practical, material reality. And so, people are saying, oh, but Gab attached themselves to that principle. Yes, their ideal is free speech. It is nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. Yes, Gab is marketed as a free speech platform. Andrew, unlike me, takes the take of free speech seriously. It is his ideal. But he is also not going to burn down his entire platform and allow it to be destroyed in pursuit of that ideal. It's not going to happen. Here's the thing, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's just like contracts, okay? There's a fundamental difference between people who understand, who are capable of abstract thought, and people who are not. Most people can't handle abstract thought, okay? So the people who take contracts seriously, who think contracts mean something, are people who cannot grasp the abstract thought. They're the kind of people who think, oh, Gab is free speech, therefore anyone can say absolutely everything on Gab. No, it doesn't work like that. Here is how the world actually works. A contract or a policy is only as good as the people behind it. All of the words are irrelevant. All of the words are immaterial. They don't matter. They are abstract. So the only question is, when you're comparing Gab with Twitter, the only question is, do you trust Andrew Torba and his team to permit more open discussion, broader discussion, and to not attack people who happen to violate whatever the narrative happens to be at the moment more than you trust Jack from Twitter, Zuckerberg from Facebook? Okay, if you say you don't know, then you're just either stupid or disingenuous. Okay? Gab is absolutely light years ahead of this stuff. Okay? Gab would be better off if all the low IQ people who can't figure out that the difference between the ideal of free speech and the practical reality of where the limits are going to be applied, if all of those people left Gab, Gab would be much better off for it. The fact that Torba tolerates them at all, which I would not do, is an indication of his genuine commitment to the ideal of free speech. But it is an ideal. It is not reality. There are always standards of decorum. It's not disappointing. And not everyone who disagrees with me is stupid and has low IQ. But if you disagree with me on this particular issue, then yes, you are stupid and your IQ is at least 30 points lower than mine. Because it is absolutely impossible to be an intelligent person and fail to understand that concept. Was Andrew Torba's agreement, or was Andrew Torba's agreement action? No, not at all. It's not what I would have done. And so like I said, I probably would, knowing what people like Weave, knowing the games that people like Weave and people like Andrew Anglin play, I would have banned them on site. I would have kept them off my platform altogether. They have nothing whatsoever to offer. And so, and on that note, let's move on to it. As you know, I issued a challenge to Andrew Anglin, and he accepted, which frankly rather surprised me. I would have thought that he would have had the good sense to tuck his tail between his legs and run, but you know, this is actually much better than I expected. And so, so what we're going to do, Tara McCarthy is going to host it. It's going to be on Wednesday, and we are going to discuss the same thing that I discussed with Greg, which is, is National Socialism of the political right or of the political left? Now, it's kind of funny because even when Andrew was accepting, his followers were saying, "Oh, well, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. Don't punch right." I mean, the level of excuses already. It's the third position. It's neither right nor left. It's the third way, the middle way. all this stuff. Yes, Anglin has confirmed he does think he's going to argue that National Socialism is of the right, or so he claims. You know, and so we'll see. I mean, he's already probably heard my debate with Greg Johnson. And so I have absolutely no doubt that he's going to have some case that will, he will try to spin some case, and it should be amusing. And so, you know, I mean, here's the thing, is that I've learned is that a lot of these people that criticize me have they don't realize where I'm coming from or how I'm going to bring it. And so it'll be interesting to see if, you know, people keep saying, "Oh, I mean, here's the thing." People are saying that "Oh, but he's pretty smart," and all this sort of thing. Well, you know, everyone was saying the same thing about Greg Johnson too. Everybody has said that about practically everybody I have ever debated. Now, my opinion is that he is probably going to do the usual distraction, calling names, all that sort of stuff. You know. But you know, and maybe he is reasonably smart, but he's not as smart as I am, and the position is indefensible. And so, and people say, what does it matter? It matters very greatly, because either they are fake right or not. And what I am going to do is I am going to make it clear to all and sundry that Andrew Anglin is fake right. That he's not right of the right at all. That he has no claim to call himself alt-right. That he has no rationale whatsoever to be known as anything but the fraud that he is. And so, you know, this is something that I had shied away from initially. No, let's back up. There's a comment here. This is about deplatforming someone from the internet completely. That's wrong. I oppose that. I don't care I don't like, this isn't a battle worth having. That's their go-to now. Suddenly, the minute that they love to talk all brave and everything, and then the minute that you call them out, they're suddenly in retreat. And so, and he is a trickster, but we American Indians, we recognize coyote when we see him. So, anyhow, to get back to the point, I do not support the deplatforming of Andrew Anglin from the internet. I do not, under any circumstances, think that he doesn't have the right to have a place, a domain where he can publish his trolling and posturing and whatever it is that he does. That's all fine, but there's a difference between, there's a huge difference between being deplatformed from the internet and being a guest on someone else's site. Gab is not Andrew Anglin's site. Google is not my site. There's a difference between infrastructure, which should be totally fair and uneven, or totally fair, totally accessible to all, and so it's we have to distinguish between the two. And so, and again, any attempt to conflate that, any attempt to mix those two, is where you're weakening your own argument. You have to understand that. And so when you guys are trying to argue that Anglin getting kicked off Gab or getting kicked off Twitter or Facebook or whatever is the same as a internet deplatforming, that's not correct. And not only that, you weaken your own argument. And so, the thing is that, if you want to be a troll, that's fine. But then suck it up when you get squashed. There's no reason. Our platforms do not need to host agent provocateurs. When you see them, you should kick them out. I do. I have a long list of all these people that are doing that. The platforms are not, because a public forum, they're not public forums. They're private forums. They're not public. There's a difference between a public utility, between infrastructure that was created by the government and somebody's private application. DNS is infrastructure. Oh, yeah, this guy's just a loser. Let's get rid of him. See? Boom. No free speech. Frankly, I should have just nuked him right there. I agree that Gab shouldn't have advertised itself as a free speech platform. I would not have done so. I did not advise them to do so. So I'm not saying that Anglin is a Fed. I have no idea where that came from. What I'm saying is that Andrew Anglin is a fraud. I'm saying that he's fake right. I'm saying that any sensible platform would kick him off because he is destructive and negative and causes problems. I also think that he has a perfect right to be on the internet. No, people, free speech is not the reason why people join. They join there because they didn't want to get banned by Twitter. I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know what Gab should do in terms of that marketing. You know, and so I just it's not my problem. I support Gab. I'm all for Gab. I don't know if you guys are aware, by the way, but my new book is on pre-order today. SJW's Always Double Down is out, and the foreword is written by Andrew Torba. So, obviously we're friends. Quite happy to support him. Well, right, Beard, you know what? Shut up and go away, okay? You're useless. Nobody cares. Sell your stock. If you like, if they can set it up, I will buy your stock for the same price that you paid for it. Or rather, we'll have Castalia do it. All right? Just stop whining. There is no free speech on Gab. There never was any free speech on Gab. They always said in their guidelines that you're allowed free speech to the point that, within the legal framework of the law. I don't know what the exact words are, but it's always been that way. Okay? You're like a kid who is having trouble believing that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Santa Claus does not exist. Equality does not exist. Free speech does not exist. It is all relative. And you will get more, you will have freer speech, particularly if you're on the right. All right? No, Gab, they did not lie. Again, look, you morons, read what they wrote. There was never true free speech. The speech was always limited. Right there in their guidelines. Okay? So stop being children. Wake up and understand the difference between an ideal, a platonic ideal, which does not exist in the real world, and the real world. And so, anyhow, the thing is that you're not going to, okay, you know what, you got to remember, I don't practice free speech at all. Frankly, I think the world would be a lot better off if no one who was under about 125 IQ was allowed to talk to me. I don't like talking to midwits. I don't like talking to people with low IQs. It is psychically painful to me to have to try to have to listen to the monosyllabic gruntings of you morons. I mean, think about this. Have you ever talked to someone who is, has a 50 IQ and is retarded? You know they talk? They kind of make noises and that is exactly how your attempts to communicate sound to me. You think you're saying something intelligent. You think you're saying something meaningful. But it's just this grunting. Anyhow, so you know why I don't believe in free speech? Not only because it doesn't exist, but because most people are idiots. So, anyhow, I mean, believe me, if I wasn't a Christian, I would be the most brutal eugenicist on the planet. Anyhow, The so we got the so let's see what else. We have the that's not true. There's plenty of people. There's probably more people on the left that are willing to debate me than like sort of the Cuckservatives who are the most afraid to debate me because they want to appear to be, good, strong conservatives on the right. They don't want to be unmasked. I mean, that's always, who is least likely to accept a debate. We will be announcing Voxday on September 11th. So we're working on that. Good Lord, there's just so many things going on. It's almost impossible to. We're also. It looks like we're going to be doing some foreign language translations of Dangerous, so that could be kind of crazy. We don't have time to get into North Korea, and frankly, I need to look more into the situation. But yeah, things do look increasingly ominous there. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of you who helped SJW's Always Double Down go to #1 in political philosophy on its first day of pre-order. I really appreciate that. Milo did record his own audiobook, and he did a phenomenal job. He could absolutely do it professionally full-time if he wanted to. My comment on the Dragon Award is obviously it is completely biased against American Indians and Native Americans, because obviously that's the only reason that Larry Correa and John Ringo managed to defeat a Sea of Skulls. No, actually, seriously, congratulations to Larry, congratulations to John, and especially congratulations to Richard Fox. I'm very happy for him. And so, awards are not important. It's fun to play, but it's ultimately not. The ultimate reward for me is reading the reviews and seeing what people think, and for me that's my favorite. So anyhow, have a good evening. Thank you.